everybody. How are you today? Wonderful to see you all your beautiful faces. So
everybody's excited.
Yes. So you guys, for those of you who are new, this is a new project we have in English Brazil to help you guys to listen and understand language in English from other parts of the world, because it's not spoken only like I speak. I know that I'm perfect, I'm American, I'm so cool. Okay, but that's not it. People from all over the world speak English, so we need to listen and understand them, and then they want to help you and they want to hear you. They want to interact with you. So that's why we're here today. And thank you, Simone, for making that happen.
It's a pleasure. So let me introduce my guest today. Our special speakers are Donald from South Africa, and actually, Catherine is a beautiful surprise because I had Richard in mind. He's also South African, and together with Donald, we used to work together on a cruise ship. However, Richard just canceled like 10 minutes ago. And I was brave enough to ask Catherine to join us, and she was available. And she lived for 12 years also in South Africa.
Wow,
so
Cathy, you're an international lady, huh?
Yes,
So-
I am.
if you guys have some questions about South Africa,
Good.
let's go ahead. We can talk about different topics. It's no problem at all. However, it is important for you to hear, especially Donald with his native South African accent. His mother tongue is English. So guys, let's start this. Go ahead. So maybe Felipe, are you a little bit shy or would like to ask them some questions?
Hey, well,
Okay,
Donald
let
Cathy,
Renato do it.
yeah. Are you proud of having Elon Musk as a person that was born in South Africa? Because I was watching his about his life and his not his career but his entrepreneurship. Yeah, and I think that was amazing. I could never imagine how he got to reach the point that he are currently.
I think it's Elon Musk is I do for me I'm quite proud of the fact obviously he only grew up in South Africa. His whole career in education he got in Canada and the US. But I find it funny he was quite controversial recently when he said that he's actually a true African American. So people took me like that when he said, but he's an African American. Yes, and even when you listen to his accent, if you guys notice, he has a bit of Northern American, Canadian accent going, but it's not as thick or not as strong as your standard American. I mean, of course, there's the many different accents, and you can hear some of the South African accents still undertones in his speaking. So for me, that's always been very interesting.
Sure.
Well, he's not the only one actually being from South Africa, living in the United States. If you want to look at the stars, you've got Charlize Theron, who used to be with South African, and I think she was from the north of Pretoria, if I'm not mistaken, or between Pretoria. Benoni. Yeah.
Which is between it's close to Pretoria.
Yeah. So moved in the United States. I remember where we were in South Africa when she came back to make this advertisement about, it was not an advertisement, but talking about women's rights in South Africa. And she was doing it in English, and she tried to do it as well in Afrikaans. But when she spoke in Afrikaans, she had a very strong American accent, and it was all controversy in South Africa, saying, why does she speak like that when she's supposed to speak with your properly Afrikaans? Because I think she moved away from South Africa. She was about 17 or something like that. So
But
then
she or he, I didn't get it.
Sorry?
And who moved from 17 She or he? He moved.
Charlize Theron.
Ah,
Charlize
okay,
Theron,
okay.
the actress.
Ah, okay. Okay,
Yeah, she
thank you.
moves from where, and then the controversy after the accent, the American accent in Afrikaans. Then she had to redo the advertisement again and did it with a proper Afrikaans accent, because I think people were quite offended at the time, which I can understand. I mean, she was there, you know, as a proudly South African, so.
Yeah.
I remember there was the same thing with the Arnold Schwarzenegger many years ago with the Austrian, where he also went back
Yes.
to Austria after many years in America. And when you speak Austrian, he had a horrible accent, which, I mean, it's understandable. A language is like that, use it or lose it. And it's like my Afrikaans is terrible now too. So I do feel for her, but yes,
Absolutely. Yeah, you feel that. I remember going back to France and because I was so used to teaching French in slow motion to the students that when I was speaking French to the people, they thought that they thought I thought they were retarded. And I was no, I'm really it's just the way I'm speaking now. And they were, you're not speaking French normally. What's wrong with you? And then you realize that you've lost, you know, the speed of the speech. So I suppose it's the same thing when you've been away from English speaking for so long, or your home country, really.
No, but I believe that here in Brazil, mainly when you are leading the regular CS, you have a big challenge. And I believe that the big challenge is people speaking English in the same way, in the same way that they should listen. I mean, when they speak wrong or with a different accent, I think that they have difficulty to understand English spoken in other language, okay, in other countries, okay, or from other origins. So I believe that this is a thing that I consider the biggest challenge when we are leading sessions in English Brazil. Yeah, and because the way they speak is the way they understand, and sometimes the way they speak is not the right way to understand. Okay, so this is a thing that I consider quite important to improve in our members. Yeah, but okay, I think that's part of the process.
yeah.
I think it's
I
very
see.
well said. Renato, you really got the point because it's exactly what happens. For me now, living also like more than 20 years that I've not been living in Brazil, I think my accent is all over the place. It's been like almost 20 years living in Belgium. I lived in other countries, like I speak 5 languages, and sometimes it's just difficult. I want to say something and nothing comes up. Or sometimes I'm speaking English and some words just flip in Dutch or in Portuguese. And it's not easy, you know, like, and also when you don't have that much, like what we are trying to do now, like is bringing people from all over the world who have different accents and also different vocabulary to bring and show you, because otherwise you don't have the opportunity. You're speaking with people who speak same as you, and the chances that you will improve, it's very low.
Yeah. No, I
Because
remember.
exactly what you said.
Yeah, I have a funny history, but because when I was in New York, I went in a restaurant, and the waiter asked me, "Are you gonna take super dinner? Super dinner? Oh, come on, super dinner, a big dinner? Yeah, no." He would say, "Are you going to take supper or soap or dinner?" So I consider that. Oh, come on! I think that I have to improve my English because I didn't get to understand. And
That's really
no,
funny.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think that come on, I think that sometimes you have to pay attention the pronunciation of native people to become understandable. Yeah. So I believe
How
that
about in
this
South
is
Africa? Do you
really
say
fun.
supper in South Africa?
Yes, we do. We use supper.
You say supper as well, yes?
Supper traditionally, yes, but South African media is mainly from America, so we picked up a lot of the American vocabulary. So we use it's you also hear dinner.
No, I thought,
also,
sorry, sorry, I made a mistake. I think I make a confusion because I was giving a class about meals, and the editor is super salad, super salad. No, he has. Do you want super
for
salad?
salad.
Do you want a super salad?
Super
Come
salad.
on, I want the super
Must
salad
be a really good
because I'm
salad, yes.
hungry. No, soup or salad. Okay, so that was the thing that happened in the first day that I was in New York. No,
Yeah,
come
but
on.
Renato, that's the best way to learn. You will never get confused if when if someone says that to you again, never ever make that mistake, or you'll never get confused. So for me, often that kind of those experiences, the best way to learn.
Yeah, sure. Making mistakes is the best way to learn. Yeah. But sometimes it's become a little bit expensive. Yeah.
Of course, of course.
I think
But
it's
it's
also valid. It's also valid to tell them that as well as Donald, as Catherine and Bruce, they're all teachers. And Renato has been doing this also for a long time, right? Renato, how long have you been working with English Brazil?
Oh,
No,
I
he
think that
was
I
in English Brazil before me.
no, yeah, no, because there was Bruce was one of the founders of English Merchant. Then they split the group, and then he created English Brazil. I think that you start together, me and Bruce. I think that is at the same time. Yeah, but that time before pandemic, the meetings were presential. Okay, pressure in person. Okay, or in person, yeah. So I believe that was in 20. I think that English Brazil started on 2020 or 2021, Bruce. I don't remember well.
Yeah, actually, English
But
Brazil
that,
started 2020 officially. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that time the meetings were presential. Okay, but then after the pandemic, we become virtual. In spite of here in my city, you have presential meetings all Thursdays. Yeah. So I got to join a group of people that are speaking in person. Yeah. And but anyway, I think that I've been in this group for, I can say that's 5, 6 years. I don't know, Bruce, exactly, but
About
something like
that or
that.
more.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think Andrea has a question.
Well, my question is, how is your weather in Africa?
Yeah, at this moment. How is the weather in Africa?
South Africa
Yes.
Yes.
in April now, so that's sorry, because I live in Poland at the moment, so I have to do the math. So it's basically going into autumn now, going towards winter. But it's a little bit different where I stayed. I stayed in the north of the country, and we had two seasons. We had hot and not so hot. So we didn't really have winters. So I mean, winter where I was about 10 degrees, was really cold, and we were miserable then. It was like horrible. It was end of the world kind of thing. Where most of the time it was between 20, 35, sometimes even into the 40s. So it's very nice if you like the heat. Where Cathy was, that's a bit higher up. Cathy, what was the weather like in Porch, in that area?
In Perth, well, it was hot during the summer, but because we were, quite up, we wouldn't get the extreme heat either. But we would get very cold during the winter. Sometimes we were even in -2 or 3. So
Wow.
to keep the house warm was extremely difficult. We at one point we actually lived like Lesotho people. We had the cover constantly. We were walking around because there's no heating system inside the houses. So the warmest room was our son's bedroom, and it was 13 degrees inside. So that was the best we could keep. And it would go from -3 at night to 20 degrees during the day. So because it's very dry during the winter, and there is no, in the Northwest province, there absolutely no rain for about 3 months on a row. So you've got, as a European, for us, it was a disaster. Our skin was peeling. We were bleeding from the nose.
Wow.
It was it was really quite something, and we were not prepared for that. We had some
I
friends who
use
came over.
chapstick on my lips.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wish we had a lot of them at home. We had some friends who came from Europe to visit us in the month of July, and they said never again, ever. They
Wow.
said we have never been so cold in an entire life. They say we can't believe we're actually in Africa and we are freezing our butts there. So they said
And
we're
that was in
definitely coming in
July,
the summer.
Kat? In July,
Yeah, because it's
winter.
Even winter
it's
then.
the winter time, yes. And in August you've
You
got
know,
the wind as well coming,
Mhm.
and then spring is coming, is on its way.
And I had, because my wife is Polish, and so she lived with me in South Africa for 8 years, and she had the exact same complaint. Now, coming from Poland, the houses, like in all Europe, the houses are equipped for both summer and winter. You have a heating system, you've got insulation on the walls, so you're prepared. In Africa, we don't have that. We only are prepared, or in South Africa, we're only prepared for the heat. We have air conditioning, we have swimming pools, we have the thatched roofs. And then for the short few months of winter, it's like, okay, guys, put on some jackets. You can make it. Okay, we're not going to put in all that expense in the houses. For winter, we'll survive. And that's how we were raised. I mean, that's for South Africans, it's normal, but for European people, like I said, my wife had the same complaint. She's like, she's never been so cold in her life, and she's from Poland, where they used to -30-degree temperatures, but she'd never been so as cold as she was in South Africa, in Johannesburg, because it also gets quite cold there. So, Cathy, I completely
You
I understand
understand that, yeah. We always said, we were always saying the South African are the strongest people on the planet. They can endure all kind of things, the winter, that, the lack of electricity. They always find a way to survive. And I remember my husband even had this T-shirt that was Africa is not for sissies. It was it was a good one, I
Sure.
think.
Sure. I see Lawrence was saying about buying an electric mobile heater. Yes, it's a lot of. I remember we did have that, even the oil heaters. But two things. Number one, it is expensive. You got to realize in South Africa, in Europe, I don't know how it is in Brazil. In Europe, it's very nice because you've got a continental infrastructure over here with everything. And in Africa, we don't. So whatever country has, it's usually what that country has developed. So electricity is expensive in South Africa. And also, okay, you have the heater on, it's on in one room. Okay, so that one room will be warm, but it's very difficult to heat a house with just one electric heater, because the walls are going to be absorbing heat. So the next room is going to be taking the heat the minute you open the door. So yes, you can sit under the blanket in front of the TV, so you can be warm then, but the minute you go to the kitchen, you're going to be cold again. So that's we kind of just survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right.
And what do you do, Donald?
Huh,
And
Andrea?
what do I do?
What do you do?
Well, I work as a technician. I build wind turbines. We actually spoke about this last week. So yeah, that's what I do. And before that, I was a teacher in Poland.
English teacher. That's
English
that's
teacher. Yes,
important
I
to
was an
say.
English teacher. Yes. Yes. And sorry, Bruce, I see your comment here, and I heard, yes, in Portugal they have the same complaint because about the winters being cold. Because a few years ago we were thinking about moving to Portugal, and we were like asking some questions, and that is the one thing people said to us: great place, because we were thinking of Porto. They say great city, beautiful city, great people, really amazing place. Just be prepared. The winters you're going to be cold, and for that exact same reason.
I think in Brazil it's also the same because I am from São Paulo, and São Paulo can get also really cold in the winter, but it's like 15 degrees, 10 degrees, and it's really cold because we're inside the house, you know what I mean? So it's pretty much the same. We don't have the structures and all the things to make a house warm in the winter, right? Felipe, where are you from in Brazil?
Rio de Janeiro, na city called Niterói.
Oh, so you also
Rio.
Rio de Janeiro. So you're used to the hot weather, 40 degrees in the summer.
Yes, here it's very warm. Yes.
And Andrea, where are you from?
I'm from Minas Gerais, but now I'm living in Espírito Santo, and hot here.
Also hot, yes.
Very hot.
For the
Yeah,
ones who don't know yet, Laurence, she's a French friend of mine. She's just here to get to know you guys, and she's going to be joining us with her own session very soon. So she's just here to get a vibe, to learn a little bit on how this works. Felipe, do we have maybe some questions for our special guests?
Okay. I'm just listening.
Okay, can go ahead. Bruce had some questions about foods, right?
Yes, I like to eat. I like to eat food.
Because we learned from Richard last time, braai, it's like a
Yes.
barbecue or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was the word for barbecue.
It's like a barbecue, just 10 times better.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
absolutely.
No.
You don't
Brazilian
you cannot
barbecue.
say that to Brazilians or Americans. We are very proud of our barbecues as
That's
well.
right. You know what? We're going to have a new rule in English Brazil. You can't talk about politics. You cannot talk about religion. You can't talk about sex. And you can't talk about barbecue.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now we have the same with the Aussies or the Australians, because they also have their put a shrimp on the barbie.
I'm the Barbie. I'm the Barbie.
Barbie is a doll. A braai is a thing, you cook your meat on,
I have
but
to go
yes.
with that. Yeah, totally with you there. We learned to braai in South Africa. I mean, we didn't know how to use a barbecue before we arrived in South. We thought we did, but we learned everything in South Africa. And we're very proud of our braai. We still carry on talking about braai instead of barbecue. So,
Is that what you miss the most about not living there? Like when it comes to food and hanging out with friends, is really different from Europe where you live now?
sorry, Simon?
When you have barbecues outside, right?
Yeah.
In South Africa, you get together and you have barbecues, and the meat is like everything's for me.
Oh, it's like a
different.
religion. I mean, it's on Skyer first, so that it's not a translation you can find, I think, in any language. It's really getting together, having a good time, and you think. I mean, the first time, to give you an example, the first time we went for a braai, we were invited for a braai. We were invited for 12 o'clock, and we thought we were going to eat at 12 o'clock. So we didn't eat much in the morning, and we arrived thinking at 12 o'clock the meat was going to be served. No, they start the braai at 12 o'clock. So that means it's going to take forever, because it's like, a whole thing. You make really the fire properly, and you're starving to death, and then they serve you beer, and you start drinking. You're completely drunk by the time you're getting the meat, and and obviously you've got a bit of biltong and droeworst as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And
What do you call it?
and biltong and droeworst. It's like
German.
no, it's Afrikaans.
The biltong is
I can
basically.
explain.
Biltong is basically how in the old days they would preserve meat. So before we had refrigeration and stuff like that, the Americans have and Bruce, you're going to have to either forgive me for this or agree to disagree. Americans have jerky, which my experience with jerky has been disgusting. Because I compare it to biltong. Biltong is divine, where jerky I just found is very processed. So biltong is basically they take the meat and you spice it up with some coriander, salt, pepper, and there's special biltong mixes, and you put it with vinegar, and you let it sit for about 24 hours, and then you put it out and it dries, and it can go completely dry, or it's different degrees of dryness. And then it lasts forever, really. You can freeze it or whatever. And so it's a very, very popular snack in South Africa. And Druurwort is basically doing the same, but in a sausage, like in a thin sausage. And then also just hang it up. And it's great. You eat it as is, have it with beer, whatever. But it's one of the things
the
that
word braai? I don't remember.
BRAAI. BRAAI.
Braai, like this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Ah,
Because it's the Afrikaans word, because that AAI in Afrikaans is pronounced I.
Braai. Braai.
so that's the word for barbecue in South Africa, braai.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, it's the whole culture, like Cathy was saying, the whole culture of braai and stuff. It comes from Afrikaans, which is our, let's say, Dutch ancestry from the Dutch colonists in 1800 sometime. I think 1820 we had the biggest influx. But it comes from them, and it kind of has evolved into this national treasure or this national pastime, where black, white, Indian, Chinese, English heritage. It's something we all do, and we all understand the rules of it. Because there are also rules about it. Like you have, oh yes, you have the braai master, and that's the guy in charge of the fire, and you don't mess with him. Like you don't mess with the braai master, okay? You don't. No, so of course, we have fun with it, but yes, it is a national pastime. And like Cathy said, and I even forgot about that. There's the kuier part, and kuier is an Afrikaans word for visit, but like you said, there's not really a nice translation for it. It's like the socializing before. And yes, the first time you arrive on an empty stomach, well, you're gonna have a very interesting experience.
Yeah, you never do it twice.
Do they have
You learn.
local beer in South Africa?
We do, but we're not really known for our beer. So I've enjoyed better beer in Poland and in Czech and in Germany. So my experience with beer has been better in Europe. Cathy, I don't know what your experience was, because you had the other way around, coming from Europe.
Same, yeah. But the beers where we would mainly have wine, really, because the wine is a big thing in South Africa.
Yeah.
But the beer is basically, the not local, but you could always get the Tlokwe one that is the township type of beer, but that's quite something to taste. Otherwise it's not really. I mean, you drink beer, but you would drink the light beers, that you would find really, compared to Belgium, for example. That's not the same kind of beer.
No, South Africa is this. We enjoy alcohol, but I think Europe does it better, and probably the States. I think I enjoyed some good beer in the States as well. I have a quick question, Andrea. You asked me about my job. What do you do, Andrea? Andrea, am I saying it correctly?
Well, I'm a PhD studying production engineering.
Wow.
Okay, wow. Yes,
And-
and so how long before you? Sorry, continue.
I write my thesis, and I go to travel the Ohio for the presentation, my thesis, and I need to speak English, but I'm very shy, and now I'm staying here. But,
You're doing very well, Andrea.
Yes.
You are.
Thank
But,
you.
You are.
but
And
as I told her, you have to practice more and more, and that's why these meetings are so cool, because it's about having fun.
Yes.
Let's have some fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Andrea, can I ask you a quick question? What is the title of your thesis? Or like if just in a few sentences, what are you writing about?
I don't understand you.
You said you're
Sorry.
writing your thesis for your
Yes.
PhD. What is it about?
Is about the smart cities
Smart
and the
cities.
digital
Wow.
transformation.
Oh.
And I research the how to public policies for the smart cities.
Oh,
Sounds interesting, complicated as well.
it's, guys, this is another level here.
Yeah,
Eh?
yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, that's what's interesting about English Brazil is that 99.5% of the people are all professionals. So they all have different jobs from different areas. We had a guy, his son was selected by NASA to go study his PhD in Ohio. He's going to study his PhD in Ohio, and he doesn't even have a master's degree. They said, don't worry about your master's. Come and study your PhD. Because that's how smart the guy is from Brazil. It's like, oh, man. But he was afraid to talk about his education and things. He was afraid to talking about NASA and things. So it's okay. In the future, when he has more contact with NASA and things like that, he can come back. It'll be cool. But it's so cool that this community is made up of many different walks of life, many different professions. And so Andrea talked to me and she said she's going to study, or she's studying her PhD. She has to do a presentation in Ohio, the state of Ohio. I said, oh, that's cool, but that's not easy. But you need to practice more. She says, yes, I need to practice. Okay, come today. Talk to these people from South Africa.
That's a great
Well, that is the
start.
best way. Cool. Great.
Sorry,
if I can
my
ask a question-
internet is down.
Oh.
I don't know
Is
why.
and it's unstable, yeah. This happened.
Does. And,
Thank you for this
okay.
opportunity to stay here. I
Yeah.
love this meeting.
Well, and then good luck with your not only writing the thesis but also presenting. So I know you have a lot of work ahead of you, and good luck. You're going to do great.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How about you, Renato? Do we have some more questions?
No, I'm just when you talk about specifically about South Africa, I always got curious about the language, the idioms of spoken in South Africa, because they have 6 official languages, and that's crazy for
11.
me.
They've got
11.
11.
11?
missed
Oh, come on.
The last
Oh,
meeting. If you thought
No,
6 was a lot,
I can't-
11. How about 11?
11?
The reason-
Why?
The only reason there are 11 is because once apartheid finished and we had, like, let's say, a new democratic country that represented all the people, no one could decide on which language had to be the official language. Like the Zulus were saying, no, we are the most, Zulu should be the national language. And then the Xhosas were saying, no, Xhosa should be the national language because of blah, blah, blah. And then the Shanga, so everybody wanted their language to be the official language. Because of apartheid, the let's say European languages, no one wanted that because of the history of apartheid. And so that's why they said, okay, well, let's compromise. We'll take like the 11 major languages spoken. We'll make those the national languages, and they will on all official documentation. We will have English. So English was like the unofficial official language. But in the area, so let's say, for example, in the Natal, where you have mainly Zulus, on your official government documents, you'll have English and Zulu. And like in the Eastern Cape, we have more Xhosa, you'd have English and Xhosa. In Limpopo, where I'm from, we'd have a Sotho or Venda or Shangaan, whatever language was in the area, you'd have that and the English. So it's not like everyone speaks the languages, just most people speak, let's say, 3 languages. They'll speak English, Afrikaans, and their local language. And so that's why we have so many, but no one speaks all of them.
Yeah, yeah. So I believe that you can consider that English is almost the official language in general. Yeah, overall. Yeah.
Technically it's a language that unify everybody in a certain way. But if you say that to Afrikaans community, they're not going to agree with you specifically in certain areas. So you have to be very careful. But the advantage is that even if there are some conflicts with languages sometimes, particularly in educational level, in schools, you know, some schools are more Afrikaans, some schools are more English, and then after that in the townships, you know, they're going to adapt the languages. They actually work pretty well together, and that's quite impressive because while living in Belgium, you know, they still fight about the three main languages, and they're still, you know, very, very tough about the area where you live. When in South Africa, if you want, and they ask you sometimes which language do you want to have your communication in, and you say English, then they're going to send you the papers in English. It doesn't matter even if you're in a town that is more Afrikaans speaking, or if it, you know, they relate more to the cultural environment than to the place where you are. And that's a big difference for me living in Belgium, where you can be in the Brabant Flamand, which is the Flemish, you know, Brabant. And because you're in the Flemish Brabant, everything has to be in Dutch, even though they ask you sometimes, do you prefer it in French? And you said, yes, please. They will send you the papers in Dutch because that's the way it's supposed to be. And you are in this area. So doing 11 languages in South Africa, it's quite actually, they manage quite well. And in schools, even in townships, I remember meeting people who could speak 4 to 5 languages. And usually the farmers are quite amazing with languages as well, because they speak English, Afrikaans, you know, Setswana, sometimes Xhosa, depending on the people who are working in their farms. So it's really impressive how they're adapting with languages. And it was even during the apartheid as well, you know, they would already mix the languages, even though Afrikaans and English, probably more Afrikaans even, was the main language at the time.
Yeah.
True.
But
I come from
everybody in Africa talking English, understand and talking. Everybody.
in South Africa, most of them, because of we also have it in our school system, so you have to have English at school. So most in the more farming areas, especially the older generation, they will more speak. They would know Afrikaans or English as a, let's say, European language. And speaking of Afrikaans, I see Lawrence was asking about the similarity between Afrikaans and Dutch. And last week I touched on this. Afrikaans, as far as I understand, is Old Dutch. Like when the Dutch came to South Africa, let's say about 200, where are we now? 220 years ago, they brought their language with them, and then they stayed there. And then just languages evolved. And so in Holland, the Dutch language continued evolving. And in South Africa, it went a different direction, or it stayed the same, or it stayed how it was. And it just adopted a lot of words from the local area. From there's a lot of like Hottentot words and Bushman words also incorporated into Afrikaans. And so, Lawrence, to answer your question, how far is it to Dutch? It is quite far. But when I listen to Dutch, I can recognize a lot of words. But there's a lot of the pronunciation. For example, in Afrikaans, we say r, we say Afrikaan, braai, where in the Dutch they don't do that anymore. We also have a very hard guttural G sound. Like, for example, green is groen. Where in Dutch I don't think they do that anymore. But I have found Afrikaans and Flemish to be more similar, a lot closer. I had an experience probably 20 years ago, where I was talking to a Flemish couple in Afrikaans, and we did quite well understanding each other. So to answer that question.
There's the double E as well that is pronounced differently. I remember when we arrived here, there's a town that is called Sterrebeek, and the Beek is written B-double-E-K. And we kept on saying Sterrebeek, and they were, what are you talking about? And we said, well, we live not far from Sterrebeek. And they were, this is not Sterrebeek, that's Sterrebeek. And we were, oh, okay. So we had to relearn to pronounce certain words in a Flemish, Dutch way, but it's very similar. And Afrikaans has got a lot of French words as well that are pronounced in Afrikaans as well because of the Huguenot and pantoufles, which are pantoufles in French. So the influence of all the Indian, the African languages, English, and has really built up, the language. It's quite an amazing language actually to listen to.
Exactly, and a lot of the names. I mean, we have a lot of Francois, Dupré, Duplessis, Dutoy.
Yeah.
We have a lot of French names coming from the Huguenots, like you said.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Bruce, you were asking about the we swim with great white sharks. Of course, all the time. And we ride to the beaches on elephants with our pet lions. But we do have these beaches. I don't know if Cathy got to experience any of our beaches. I think South Africa is some of the most beautiful beaches. Okay, I have been to Rio. I did see your beaches in Rio. They are beautiful. But I am a little bit biased towards the South African beaches. I think we have beautiful beaches there. So I do recommend them anytime.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think the beaches in Brazil are very, very nice.
But I think when it comes to great sharks, it's just one region that you can see them, or
Like in Recife, huh?
In the Cape, yes.
In the Cape. Only in the Cape we can swim with, I mean, not actually
You do
swim
have
with
some
the great
on
sharks, but you can see them, or you go down in a little jail or cage.
You can go, yes. You can go cage diving with sharks in the Cape. I don't know if you where else. I know you can do it in the Cape. Cape Town actually. I don't know if you can do it anywhere else. I'm more from the bush area, so I'm not very familiar with the coastal attractions. Just I know we have really nice beaches.
Yeah, that's true. The west, the east coast as well. Durban, from Ballito to Margate and Port Elizabeth and all of that, and obviously going from Port Elizabeth to Cape Town, which is the garden route, is probably the most amazing experience I ever had in my life. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place where you pass the Tsitsikamma and the forest that is literally going into the ocean is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, that's also one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to comment here by Lawrence about the pronunciation of English and stuff. The one you said that the CH is K, like in Britain. No. In South Africa and Afrikaans, we don't have the CH. We don't. If I'm, so we only have the CH in English, which is pronounced the ch. So yeah. So that's just answering that comment.
So here's South Africa here. Okay. And so which area are you guys from?
Cathy, you can explain first where you're from.
Okay, you see Johannesburg, Johannesburg, which is in north of South Africa. Okay, we were about 100 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg. You've got Kimberley and Bloemfontein. We are actually between Kimberley and Bloemfontein, but in the north. So it's Potchefstroom. Let me write it. Maybe we can actually see it.
How many people live in Johannesburg? How many people live there?
Oh, I wouldn't know now. To be quite honest, I wouldn't know. But it used to be the capital of Transvaal. It used to be the capital of South Africa during the first, after the Great Trek. You have the house of the President Pretorius there, still in Potchefstroom. So it's not anymore, but it's a big a big area because it's the campus, the main campus of the Potchefstroom, not the Puck University, which is the Northwest University, and there's the Vereniging and Vanderbilt Park and Mafeking and Potchefstroom were together as a university.
I see
And
a lot
Potchefstroom
of cities named like it looks like German or Dutch.
Yeah, you even got Parijs actually in next to Potchefstroom, Parijs, and they've got an Eiffel Tower, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's a beautiful little village, a lovely one. So people love going there, and they pretend they're actually, getting married in Paris.
So you have a lot of coastline, huh? All the way from up here in Orange Moon, all
What's
the way
the
over
region
to
where the region of the vineyards?
It's in the there where you see Cape Town, but to the well, roughly in that area, but also to the east of it, like Worcester, Swellendam, that area.
Where? Durban?
Durban, no. Durban is just for the good beach, good surfing. Apparently, there's good marijuana. I wouldn't know. I've just been told that.
Well, is marijuana legal there?
No, but the cops in South Africa have more important things to worry about than stoners. So
really, there's something more important.
Yes, it's a little bit more important. Durban is known and has the biggest, largest Indian population outside of India.
Wow!
Because during the times of colonization, the British brought a lot of Indians over to work in the sugarcane plantations we had over there, and so they stayed and created their own community. So you find a lot of Indians, a lot of Indian food, great food, samosas, curries, you name it. Very good food down there.
So South Africa has a border with Mozambique where they speak Portuguese.
Yep. Awesome. Beautiful country. Destroyed, politically really destroyed, but it's absolutely beautiful country, and even if you go to like Maputo is the capital, and you go there and you see the old Portuguese buildings still over there, beautiful, like from a different era. Absolutely stunning country.
What language do they speak in Namibia and Botswana?
Namibia, they have their own local tribe. Namibia was known as Kleine Deutschland, so they speak German there, but it's not exactly the same as in Europe. It's just the same like Afrikaans and Dutch, except the Namibian German hasn't separated as much, but it is a bit of a different dialect. And then you have they have their own tribes. Then I forget now. Damaras, you have Damaras. So you have your own local tribe, like in South Africa, you've got Zulus and Vendas and whatnot. They also, in Botswana, they mainly speak Tswana, because that's the people who live there. And Botswana is a very interesting country. It's one of the few countries in Africa that was never colonized. It was a protectorate of the British Empire, but it was never colonized. And that was the one. So basically, and they've had very smart rulers. I think they still have a king. They still have a kind of a monarchy going on there. And they watched what was going on around them, and they developed at their own pace. And it is one of the safest countries, I would say, in the world. Over there, you could still go to Gaborone, to one of the big cities, leave your car keys in your car, go into the shop, and you come out and everything will still be there. Beautiful, fantastic country and friendly people.
Yeah, this is where Hinata wants to go. He wants to go to the great vineyards and taste the wine.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. And
the region is called Mansouk, the little France, basically. That's where the Huguenots that moved to the Netherlands, who were Calvinist and being, chased away by the Catholic. So they went to the Netherlands and moved with the Dutch to the Cape. And these Huguenots, like Donald was saying, have still the French names, which is interesting because most of them still have what we call in French the particule. That means the Duplessis separated. In France, it doesn't exist anymore because the nobles had their head chopped during the revolution. But they escaped the French Revolution, so they could keep their names, with the particle, and they didn't have to hide about it. So you've got le roux, for example, that is a very common French name in South Africa, which means the red hair one. And all of them mean something. Du Plessis, the Plessis is a little bush. So from the little bush. Du toit, du toy, like they would say in Afrikaans, it's from the roof, you know, and Malherbe as well, which means the bad grass or a medicine for helping people. So all of these names are still very important in South Africa, and they come from the Huguenot, and they are mainly in the Franschhoek as well area.
Interesting. I did not know that about the. I mean, I knew a lot of the surnames were French, but I didn't know that they actually kept that
Connection.
The du, you know, the from and the name. It is quite interesting, actually.
Wow.
Okay, very quickly. Said you live in South Africa. I watched some years ago a documentary about a great shark in South Africa named Submarine. I don't know if it's real. That incident was real or was fake?
Yeah, do you understand? The great
Sorry.
white shark is called submarine. And is it
Yes.
fake or is it real? It's the name of the shark. They gave a great white
Yes.
shark the name submarine.
Yes, exactly.
It sounds like Disney. You guys should know about
No,
Disney.
no. It was a documentary. This documentary I watched in
Oh,
Discovery.
documentary must be real then. It's documentary.
Yes, that's why I'm asking. I don't know if it was real or fake.
Famous. Hey, hi guys. How are you? My name is Submarine.
Philip, you know,
Ogres.
Call me
it
Sub.
could be. I haven't been in South Africa. I haven't lived there for 12 years. So if this is something that's happened within the last 12 years, maybe just, I don't know about it. So it sounds like it could be true.
Me neither. I wouldn't know, really. Sorry.
Well, I think we have to travel back to South Africa and find out.
Definitely, definitely do.
So
Okay, let's.
I had a question, but I want other people to talk.
I think Andrea would like to ask another question because we are running out of time. Renato, maybe, otherwise Bruce is gonna go ahead. Okay, just go.
Okay, I
Okay.
think that was a good chance to know better about South Africa and the details of the kind of life that people has there. It is interesting because, I think that here in Brazil we are curious. Well, many people are curious about other countries. I think that's quite different from United States because I think that United States people don't know well about other countries. So I'm right, Bruce. I think that United States people don't. I think that people are not so interested about other countries. But here in Brazil, you have a curiosity about other countries all over
Yes,
the world.
Americans believe that everything revolves around America.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
the American
planet.
mentality. It's like we are it, and everybody kind of like revolves around us because we are so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they don't want to learn other languages. But they should. You know, and Spanish is becoming a great part of America now. Spanish is becoming very popular in the schools, but it's very long process for Americans to change. It's like, why don't Americans use the metric system? It's so simple. They use 12 inches in a foot and 5,280 feet in a mile or something like that. It's like, why? Why? It's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, 100 centimeters in a meter. It's like so simple. I don't understand Americans. They are so crazy. I don't want to call them stupid because I'm one too.
But anyway, the conversation was very nice. I think that I got to learn a lot of aspects from South Africa, and I congratulate you for your explanation, guys.
How do you pronounce that word again? Is it Bray or Bry?
Bry.
Bray.
Right.
Not with your American accent, Bruce. It's not Bry, it's Bry. Am I correct, guys?
Right.
He goes so
right.
American
Right.
there. It's a bride.
But Simon, if you're interested by biltong and droevers, there is a fantastic shop in the Netherlands where that a South African has opened, and they send droevers and biltong by post. I bought them last time, and we had a blast. So if you want to try, it's worth it, really.
You guys understand the word blast?
Yeah.
Fun!
Thank you. Lots of fun.
Yes.
So guys, once again, we just
no,
ran
I don't
out of
want to go,
time.
Simone. No.
I need to keep my words and say and keep 1
Yes,
hour.
yes.
Okay. Guys, once again, thank you so much. It's the
Thank you,
first,
guys.
it's not the first time for them. It was the first time for Laurence. So now, Laurence, you're getting ready for your turn. It's gonna come up soon. Whoever wants to know about France and the Netherlands and a little bit of England, because Laurence also used to live in England, come next time to hear and to get to know Laurence. For Donald and Cathy, thank you so much once again. I'm sure you're going to be back sometime soon. And us here, we cannot wait to see you again. So guys, you all have a good evening. Thank you so much. See you next time.
Good.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Simon.
Bye-bye.